Okay, welcome to another Orbiter 2010 video. And in this video, we are once again here with Dimitri learning how to use IMFD. And we're just going to jump right into the next part. Hopefully you saw the previous video already, where we are learning how to go back to the Earth using IMFD. And this time we're going to be using a more sophisticated method. So again, hopefully you saw the previous video because this is a direct continuation on that. In the previous part, we lifted up off the moon, got into orbit, and we circularized our orbit. And now we're at that point where we need to start setting up IMFD to basically do like a maneuver. So with all that said, Dimitri, how do we do that?
Okay, we have already opened the map program, as you said, so we need to reference the Earth. We want to see the Earth as the central body in this map view.
Okay, so on the map side, we're going to reference, then Earth. Okay.
Okay. Now, Earth is in the middle, and you can't really see where we are right now, so hit the display button, and it will show us the orbit of any other bodies around around the Earth. So this is the orbit of the Moon. You can change the projection from the equator to ecliptic, probably to get a better bird's eye view from above. Remove the auto zoom, the ISO button,
Okay.
and now press page and the plan. This is just to show if we made the burn right now where it would take us, and you can press cell on the other page, so we can look at the parameters of the periapsis and not the apoapsis that we're seeing right now. So we can see that if we use this burn as it is, it would take us below the surface of the Earth, and we wouldn't be also very nicely aligned. I cannot say it right now, but I don't think we would be very nicely aligned with the base of our choice. But we can correct that. So we can go to the menu button again.
Okay.
Okay, now you can see that we were not actually sharing the information from the left side, but it did get transferred to the map program. Sometimes that happens. That's just, I don't know, a glitch in IMFD. It may happen sometimes. Normally, we shouldn't be able to see our trajectory
Right, because we
if the
weren't
programs
shared.
are. But this time it showed us the trajectory, and it happens sometimes. Uh, Probably a glitch or a small bug. It doesn't really matter. It's not making things worse. It's better. What we want to do now is to set up to copy the burn we see on the left, to copy it on the right as a maneuver. So we're going to use the delta velocity program.
Okay, and that's in. Do we want to set up the share now or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
First, we're going to because if we share now, we're going to have this burn over here, the
Oh.
orbit ejector. So first, we want to set it up by looking at two different MFDs, and then we're going to share on the left side this time.
Okay, so we went to the menu, then we went to the course options, and then went down to delta V, or delta velocity rather, and now we have the delta velocity program on the right. And we want to
Okay,
basically copy what we see over on this side, is that correct?
exactly.
And the way we do that is by going next, in the TEJ, right now it's 96 seconds or whatever, we're going to change that to that number. So we're going to do set, and we'll go 1960, that'll be close enough. We have to make adjustments either way, so having it exactly match isn't important. Now the next one I don't believe, or rather the next one I believe is just the prograde.
Yes, the DVF is the prograde. You will hear me using that term to say about that variable because that's the way I'm used to it from TransX. The first one, DVF, is the prograde, DVP is the plane change, and DVI is the equivalent of the outward in TransX. In this case, it's inward, delta V inward.
And we're getting that number from here, and now we have a pretty good copy of what we set up in base approach over here in the delta V program.
Okay, you can also hit the projection, change the projection to get a better view. And now on the left side, we want to share the data from the right side and open the map program.
Okay, so on the left side, we're going to go to Menu, then we're going to Share, and the right side is always ID 1. So we'll press 1, hit Enter, and now we bring up the map on the left side.
Okay. One thing that I forgot to mention, please go back to the menu and set our landing target to the base that we want to land. So go to the configuration and landing target set
Okay,
Wide Awake International.
and set. As soon as we're done today, I'm just changing that to win.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've also changed Cape Canaveral to,
KSC.
even though I don't know why, because I'm used to it so many times, I can type Cape Canaveral pretty fast. But I don't know, is it the combination of letters with a Wide Awake International? It takes a lot more time.
Yeah, there's something about Wide Awake that I have to pause and think about it. But yeah, Cape Canaveral is easier to type. It's one of those weird things. Okay, so now we've got the landing target set.
Okay, and we can press the mod button to also see the coordinates of our periapsis.
Okay, so we press mod and we have, let's see, we got the PEA here, which is quite high. Okay, the latitude and longitude, is that the coordinate that we're looking at?
Yes, can you open on the right side the map MFD so that I can explain what
Sure.
we're trying to do?
Obviously, we're going to need to reference Earth.
Yes, and target Wide Awake.
Okay.
So we can see that Wide Awake is at 14.43 west. And we want to arrive at a longitude, basically, that is about 30 to 45 degrees to the left of that, if supposing that we're going prograde. So if Wide Awake is over here, we would like to arrive as far as the longitude is concerned. I'm not talking about the latitude. We would like to arrive somewhere around here, in this vertical line. And our latitude is going to be what we need to have if we get the angle exactly at 0.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and that one's easier to understand. Again, the longitude portion of it, because we want to arrive so that we have enough time to do atmospheric braking and then land at the base. If we arrive when we're right over top of Wide Awake, then we're going to have to go around a whole orbit, or if we're a little bit past it, we're going to have to go way around. On the other hand, if we arrive, way back, then we'll have plenty of time for atmospheric braking, but then we're going to have to glide for quite some time before we get to the base.
Yeah, so this way we want to make essentially a direct re-entry and landing.
Yeah.
So now that we have seen that, basically what we want to look at is this variable, the longitude over here, and we want to check 3 variables: the periapsis altitude to get it to 65 kilometers, 60 to 65, somewhere in there; the longitude to be 30 to 45 degrees west of Wide Awake. So if we add 45 to this, that's almost 60 degrees west. That's our outermost limit. And the innermost limit is 30 degrees. So that would be 45 west. So we want the longitude to be somewhere between 45 west and 60 west. That's the limits that we want to play around. And we want to have the angle here somewhere around half a degree.
Okay.
Okay, or even less than that. Okay, between half a degree positive and half a degree negative.
And we do that by actually I forget.
We need to open again the delta velocity program on the right side that we have already in the interplanetary IMFD.
Okay, that's right.
And now we can, these are the parameters that we can change. The time to ejection, the prograde velocity, mostly these are the ones that make the most change. And then we can fine tune with these two. But it really depends on the flight and the time of the position of the moon around the Earth.
Okay, so the two main variables that we want to get things as close as possible, we'll start with by adjusting TEJ and then prograde, and then if necessary, you can do a little bit with plane change and inward in order to maybe fine tune everything. But hopefully you can get most everything done with these two variables.
Yes. So first try the time, and we are looking mainly right now at the longitude to move more to the west, and the periapse altitude to drop.
Okay, so we want to get the longitude to about 60 degrees west if we can, somewhere between
Yes.
60 and 45.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there. It's bringing the PEA down, and it's taking the longitude farther west. Kind of hold that down for a little bit. Okay, we're obviously below the planet, but we want to start by getting the longitude kind of set where we want it, and then we'll adjust the prograde. Okay, should I start about 45 degrees and then make the adjustment with the other variable to see if the longitude...
Yeah, you can try that. Right now, the one that I would try would be the outward. That's just to push the shape of the orbit a little bit to the outside.
Yeah, so we would actually want negative inward.
Yes. Of course, it's always trial and error with these variables. But when you change these variables at this time at the start of the process, you want the plane change and the inward. You want to go to the 10 adjustment setting.
Okay, let's do that. We can see that negative inward is bringing our periapsis back up where we want it. And it is pushing our longitude a bit east, but we'll adjust that with time. Except I'm worried now that by the time we get the PEA back up, our longitude is going to be...
That's what usually happens. So it takes some trial and error, especially the first times that you're doing it. But by the fourth, fifth time, you start to develop an intuition about which variable changes what on a specific time. It's the same as with transects when you set up the variables for an interplanetary journey.
Yeah, so now I'm moving the longitude back west, and again, it's driving the PEA way down.
Okay, try a little bit with the prograde velocity to probably negative that we're going to need to get there a little bit later. So the planet has rotated a little bit.
Yeah, that's raising the PEA and moving the longitude out. So if we bring the longitude farther west, then we can come back with time.
Also, you have to remember that the first base approach program that we used to get into orbit around the moon, that was a guide for not a perfect solution, but it would be a relatively good one. So when you see something like 100 over here, maybe you want to try other variables first and then go back and change that by that much.
Yeah, so basically we can reset the inward.
Maybe not reset it, but try and add a little bit, so get closer to 0, go to minus 50 or something, and see what that does.
Well, in this case...
In this case, it's not helping very much because it's pushing us even more to the west.
Yeah. Let me see again what time did. So that's... Okay, so actually in this case, if we take away some time, we're bringing ourselves...
It will do both, yes,
Yeah.
that's the things that we want.
Exactly. So let's bring the longitude all the way to 45 just to see where our PEA ends up. And then we can push the longitude back farther west and...
Yes, by changing the prograde, taking away a little bit of the prograde.
Yeah.
Okay, the angle is pretty good at 2 degrees right now.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that one. So now with a little bit of
Yeah,
negative.
you need to check the 3 variables. It gets a little bit complicated at this.
Yeah. So now this is helping also because it's pushing us farther west and it's bringing the PEA down. And that's what we want at this point.
Mhm.
So we probably have to actually, let me do an adjustment there. Let's bring the PEA all the way to the target. Let's kind of hold it, let's say, about,
Okay, you can hold there because now when you change the inward again,
right.
it will change.
So let's actually,
Okay, and remember that this goal that we have set for ourselves, it doesn't have to be the absolute. I mean, it doesn't matter if we get to 65 west longitude. We're just going to be slightly further away from the base, only by about 5 degrees. So it doesn't have to be absolute over here
yeah.
about the longitude. But we do want to get at 65 kilometers altitude and this as close to zero as possible.
Yeah, so here, by putting in a bit of negative inward, now we've got the PEA about where we want, but now we need to obviously work on that angle because the PEA is pretty good, the longitude is acceptable, but now our angle's way off.
Okay, now try a little bit of plane change.
Okay. So positive plane change is helping. That's bringing the angle up slowly.
Which variable takes the periapsis altitude lower and also changes the angle negatively? Let's say it gets the angle closer to what we want, other than the plane change.
I
Was it
honestly don't remember.
Okay, you can try one. You can go to prograde and add one or take out one to see that.
Let's see. Okay, so plus brings the PEA down,
And
it also
and the angle. Okay, so we can use a combination of this plus prograde and also plus plane change.
yeah. So let's go there for that. Let's okay, plus plane change. That's bring the PEA up. So
And
basically we'll go
decreases
back and forth.
Yes, between those two.
Just 1 second. Let me reset that. Okay, never mind. Something weird on my phone. So that's bringing the angle down, and let's get the PEA. Okay, now our longitude's getting a little far out, so let's maybe do
Let's
just
try a little bit of inward.
yeah, a tiny bit of
Yeah.
inward, and okay, that's so with a little bit of negative inward, we're getting closer on the longitude, and it's helping the angle. Okay, we're getting really close here because our angle's not bad, PEA's not bad. So let's
Okay, now
go.
you can try, if the periapsis altitude is very high, you can try to get there a little bit faster by changing the prograde. And sometimes you can also go back to the time
Yeah,
and add a second or two, but keep in mind that you have the adjustment setting at 10x. So whenever you go to the time, change it to 1x.
I think this looks pretty decent. Our angle's now just off by a tad bit. We can probably fix that farther with a little bit of plane change without
Yeah, you can
affecting
go
the.
now. You can go to 1x adjustment setting, and I think that this is okay. I mean, we are at 64, 65 right now. You can go a little bit lower if you want,
Yeah, let's just do a tiny bit,
maybe.
and that's even bring the angle down a bit more too. So actually, that's a little too much though. So, okay, yeah, let me just do one more touch here.
Okay.
That's looking really good right there. I mean, we've got a PEA of between 60 and 65. We've got an angle that's 0.12, and our longitude's just a little bit farther west than we set out.
Okay, open up the map again, the map IMFD, to see exactly where we're going to be.
Okay.
Okay, now you do remember that this is the meridian, the zero
Right.
longitude, and when you go left, you subtract 30. So this is minus 30 or 30 west. This is 60 west, and we're arriving at 72. So that's about half there. a little bit less than half. So as far as the longitude goes, we're somewhere here. And the latitude is almost exactly at the equator. So we're arriving 0.3 south, exactly at the equator. And you can see that we have a negative angle, which means that we lead our target a little bit to the left. When you have a positive angle, you lead your target to the right, and where you have a negative angle, it means that you missed your target and you're leading to the left. But in this case, it's okay because we're arriving here and we are leading the target a little bit to the left. But the Earth is going to rotate, so this time, this minor adjustment that we would need is actually going to work in our favor because the Earth will rotate in our direction.
Right.
This will make more sense when we arrive at Earth. Basically, we're done. It does take a little bit of time to get 3 variables this time correct, but now we can go back to the delta velocity program, hit the page button, burn view, and auto burn this, and it will take us to our target. We will need a slight linear translation once the burn is complete, because the burns are not always exactly 100% what you set them up. They miss 0.1, 0.2 meters per second, and you show that even such a slight adjustment can make a big difference on the arrival. So we may have to slightly correct the burn once it's done with a little bit of linear translation.
And what I've done here too is I did a quick save, so after we do this and show how it works, we can actually come back to this exact point and we can select a different target base and maybe run through the variables another time to just kind of show another example of how this all works.
We would also need a different to be in a different orbit around the moon.
Oh, yeah, well, okay, never mind what I just said then.
Because we got into this orbit because we had selected this target in the base approach program, and it
Right.
found us a solution, and we used that solution as our guide and finally tuned it to get exactly where we want.
Right, so in other words, you'd have to start back over on the ground to, okay, that's fine. So then if I understand, we can burn this maneuver now.
Yes, you open up on the right side again the
Interplanetary
delta
method.
velocity program.
Now I got a question. In transects, if you ever warp time forward by more than just 200 or 300 seconds, then you can't really rely on your, on your maneuver. You want to go back to the maneuver and do a base update when you're, maybe 200 seconds out from the burn. Is there anything like that here with IMFD? Do we need to warp time forward till we're, 200 or 300 seconds and then maybe update everything?
No, not really. It's going to be. You may see a very slight change over here, but it's going to be the prediction's pretty accurate.
Okay, well, that's great. All right, so then I believe it's just PG, BV, AB.
Yes. Just have already the linear translation pre-selected, so you will use it once the burn is done. And sometimes I keep the mouse over the AB button, and I am looking simply at the periapsis altitude, nothing else. If it gets close to what we're targeting right now, and it passes it, I stop the auto burn right away.
Okay.
Okay, it's going to burn for perhaps 1/10 of a second more, but there is no reason to make such a to have to make such a big adjustment later. You stop it right where you want to.
Okay, yeah, so then if it went over, obviously you'd have more reverse translation to do.
Yes, but we're talking about a 1 meter per second difference. But that's because I'm crazy about fuel consumption, that's all. And also on the left side, you can remove the plan now and see the actual trajectory of the burn.
Okay, so when we turn plan off, that's kind of like turning maneuver mode off or turning off hypothetical transfer orbit or something like that. Okay, so let's do that. Plan is off. And now we're seeing everything in real time. And then when it comes over, when this T minus 950 over here starts burning, then we'll actually see the orbit grow and get back to Earth. All right, well, let's warp time forward then. Let's go all the way out to, I guess we'll just do 100, and it'll slow itself down automatically at about 200, and then it'll orient the vessel at 180. And begin the burn here in just a moment, and I'll hold the mouse over AB, and I'm watching the PEA over here on this side. If it gets higher than the 63 kilometers that we set as our target, then we're going to want to disengage the burn. And that being the case, here as we get close to the end, I'll go back to real time.
Well, IMFD goes automatically anyway. Okay, and
I screwed something up.
yeah.
I
You pressed AB twice, probably, and
I double clicked it. That's okay.
okay, a good thing you made the quick save then.
Yeah, that's
before. Yeah, if
completely
you
my
stop the
fault.
burn, okay, it's good that we solved this mistake because people might do it. If you press auto burn and you stop the burn, and then you press auto burn again, it will try and make the first burn that you set up. We had a total of 870 meters per second burn. We had burned through the first 300 meters or something. Yes, 300 meters. And then it tried to auto burn again another 870.
Yeah,
But it's a good thing that this happens, so people can know that you don't want to mess with the auto burn while the burn is being made, unless it's simply to stop it.
yeah. So let me relaunch that. Good thing again that I did hit that quick save. Of course, I've also got state saver running, so it would we'd have a save point
Actually,
anyway.
I wasn't using a state saver until I saw you using it in one of your videos, and it's very, very good. It's very helpful.
Yeah. All right, let's we'll figure out what we got to do. So on the right side, we want to bring up interplanetary MFD. And do we need to share it with the left side, or is it the other way around?
Didn't we have already the burn set up when we made the quick save?
Yeah. So course.
Okay, good course and delta velocity.
Okay, course delta V. Oh no, it's
Yep.
gone.
How about the reference and okay, we can set it up again.
Not reference Earth. Is it reference Earth or is it?
Sorry, you're talking about the left side or the right side?
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the right side for the.
On the right side, you want a menu and simply delta velocity program a reference moon. We are around the moon right now.
Okay. All right, so on the left side, then we're still looking at map MFD, and we've got a PEA.
So on the left side, the reference the Earth.
Okay. And then we want to do PG plan, I believe.
Display first. You don't have a plan yet. You only have a 10 meter per second burn over here.
Ah, okay.
Okay, remove the auto zoom and we have already the projection where we want it, and now we're going to set up the plan. Give it around 870 meters per second prograde.
Okay, that's going to be over here on this side, so we're going to go set about 870.
Did you run the scenario from the state saver or from the quick save that you made?
This was from the quick save.
Is there any chance that the state saver might have saved the interplanetary plan? Because when we make a normal save or an exit and you run the current scenario, usually the interplanetary map MFD stays where it's supposed to, where it was.
Yeah, let's find out. Let me go back to probably this one, hopefully, and we'll see what the state saver had for us. I apologize to the people watching this video. It's a total blunder on my part, but at the very least, get to see what happens if you make mistakes.
It happens sometimes.
Okay, well, good. Here, the state saver.
And we have so actually we saved some time.
Yeah.
Okay, hit the plan on the left side to see the burn.
Okay, plan. And
okay, we're okay. It's the same plan as before. Now you can remove it again and hit the auto burn on the right side.
Okay, so the world makes sense
also,
again.
another thing that you don't always have to hit the burn view button. You can simply hit the auto burn even in this view.
Right.
If you want to, whatever, whichever method you think best. I prefer to look at the burn view, but you can also do it from here.
Okay, well, we'll just go with this for now. And let me go ahead and warp time forward at a factor of 10 so we can get up to the point of that burn. And then we're coming up on 30 minutes, so once the burn's done, well, actually, I guess all we're going to have to do after that is just warp
Actually,
time forward to the Earth, right?
yes, we don't have a lot of time, so
Yeah.
it's not worth doing another video for this.
Yeah, so this one will go a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but just bear with us and we'll warp time forward out to the Earth and have everything set. All right, so our PA is a little bit low. Again, a lot of this is my fault, but if we have the translation set up and we just tap translation, that's the wrong
Exactly.
way.
Here, right now you need a little bit of backwards uh, prog
Yeah.
backwards translation, and we're pretty good.
Yeah, so with 4 taps there, and that was only 4 taps because one of them I did in the wrong direction. So 3 taps of backwards translation, and we've got the PEA set right there where we want it, and we can see that our angle is really close, and our longitude is pretty close to what we want. So the cool thing about this is that that's it. I believe it or not, and you don't have to do any mid-course corrections at all. You just go all the way to Earth, and you're done. So let's do that. Actually, let's bring up probably map.
That's what I usually like to look at. Map MFD reference to Earth and the orbital plane instead of the ground track.
Yeah, and we'll target our base and then. Okay, now I'm going to warp time out. So factor of 100 here. Go to rotation just so I can stop the vessel from spinning all over. And if we ever get Earth in our front view, we'll kill rotate. Let's go out to 10,000.
And you can also see on the left side this white dot over here, exactly where the spacecraft is.
Yeah, that's a good reference, and I'm assuming the PET also is a good reference for how close we're getting.
Now, as far as I can tell from the inclination, we're right on the money.
Yeah.
For the arrival base, but we already know that we are because we have seen the variables that we need over here.
Yeah, so you can see as we're coming around here in map MFD, I like to look at the Earth, so let me just do that real quick, even though it wastes a little bit of fuel, but I just like to know where I'm going. Okay, so we kill rotate, and we are only 10,000 seconds out, so we're going to get all the way down to, a couple hundred kilometers, and even get down into the atmosphere just so you can see how accurate this method is. Of course, we're not actually going to take the time to land here because that would just add a bunch of needless time. So you can see here we're at 400 kilometers. Let's get down a little bit lower. And around here, this is about the time you would usually, maybe even a little sooner than this is the time when you'd start, closing your radiator, closing your nose cone, closing your forward-facing retro doors and all that. And when we get down toward entry interface, then we should be at what, about 72 degrees west?
Yes, when we reach this altitude, we're going to be exactly at this longitude. And you can also open up Aerobrake MFD.
Okay.
To see exactly where you're going.
Yeah, let's bring that up. And now here you'd have your, well, of course you'd have to target. Target the base, and now you can see where you're going, and you can see, according to Aerobrake, that green line's right across the base.
And it was exactly because what I told you. Even though we did not have the inclination exactly at 0, we led the base a little bit to the left of it. But because of Earth's rotation, we arrived exactly aligned up with the base. And you can say you only have to do this amount of coasting to. This is the amount that you have to remove all the speed in order to land, so it's pretty close. It would have been if you got closer. You'd need to do would be a little bit more aggressive re-entry.
Yeah, this is very cool. I've never been able to come back from the moon and have accurate base targeting without first going through, like within transects, and you got to make 2 or 3 dry runs back to the Earth, and then you can set it up, and it's just not fun to do it that way. I really like this method that you can target the base and arrive, just a few thousand kilometers in front, so you can do your aero braking and just glide right into the base. I don't think it
When
gets
I
much
was
better than that.
when I was practicing this, I wanted to find something like that because I knew that the map program was really powerful, and when used in connection with the Delta Velocity program, and I wanted to find something like that because I did not think that there was any need for corrections from the moon to Earth when you're using IMFD's map program. So this method that we are showing right now in your video, people are going to find it only here. It's not in any manual or anywhere in the Orbiter forum.
Yeah, and I'll mention too here right before we close out that Dimitri has 4 other really useful examples on his YouTube channel, and I'll put a link to that playlist down in the description below so you can see. Here we've got kind of the in-depth explanation, and possibly maybe we can do one more video of another in-depth explanation. But then you can look at his videos where he's got 4 examples going to different bases on Earth, and in every one of those examples, he shows up, right at Earth, does the aero braking maneuver, and then boom, lands at the target just like that. And I think by seeing multiple examples, you can get to understand better how to work with the variables and how to do everything that you need to do.
And you will also see that sometimes you only need a very, very small amount of time to adjust the variables in order to get to your target, while other times it takes a little bit longer. Today, in this video, it was fairly good for the first time second time that we're doing this. This was really good.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're all set. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to close out with?
No, not for this flight. I think this is what I wanted to show, how you can get from the moon to Earth using a single burn and be aligned with the base of your choice, and also arrive very close to it to make an aggressive re-entry and land.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks everybody for watching. Again, if you would, hit that like button down below, leave a comment. Again, just telling Dimitri how much you appreciate all this. I know for me at least, I didn't know the first thing about IMFD. And here, just the last few days, talking to Dimitri, going through IMFD, having these videos, is definitely going to help me going forward to be able to, have a lot more accuracy with some of my flights. So with all that said, I will see you in the next video.